So, you don't have enough money to catch yourself a pincer in the safari zone? Well, grab your crochet hook, let's go on an adventure together. So the tools and materials you guys will need today is all dependent on whether or not you're going to make it in your chenille blanket yarn or you're going to make it in your 8-ply/DK yarn. Today's video I'm going to take you through in the 8-ply yarn, so it's not going to be as big as this, it's going to come out about yay big, okay? You will need your crochet hook. I use a 3.5 for the 8-ply and a 7mm for the chenille blanket yarn. You'll need your cutting instrument. Also need a tapestry needle for both chenille and your 8-ply yarn. You'll also need your yarn of choice. Now I'm making this in the shiny variant today because that's just the yarn I have on hand. So I'm going to make it out of my main body, which is this purplish colour. The horns are going to be this colour, okay? This is going to be brown and grey, okay, if you are making it in the non-shiny version. You'll also need black and white for both the inside of the mouth as well as the toes and nails. You'll also need some polyester fill, whichever brand you guys normally use. And whatever you guys are going to use to do the eye detailing, I'm going to use felt, and I do also have a kind of like a felting needle to help me attach these. You can also use glue. I have used glue in the past as well. But this one specifically here for this guy here was needle felted direct on, and you'll just need your two colors, your black and white, for the eyes, and that is all you'll need. So let me just switch screens and we'll get to it. The first piece we are going to make today is going to be our body / head. They were kind of all together, the main actual piece for this one. The instructions are going to be up here, okay, in the top right hand corner as we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to time lapse it all. There generally is, and I'll stop when there is a kind of like a difficult or a different part that is not relatively easy to follow. So without further ado, we'll start off with a magic ring of 6 and get this going. So at the end of round 13, we are going to do something a little bit unusual that we don't normally do when we're doing amigurumi. I've never seen anyone else do it. And that is we're going to attach our black into the back loop and do a round in the black. And then we are going to do the front loop in the main color and build it up around like that, okay, for the next few rounds while we build our mouth up. If you guys are going to be using the chenille yarn, and you don't want to obviously waste the black yarn going around, what I would generally recommend doing is just going along. You would need to unpick this stitch here and attach into the back loop of this one here, and then do basically about 8 single crochets one way, chain, and work your way backwards and forwards that way to build up the mouth. You can also do this in this kind of yarn because the way you stuff it kind of puts a lot of pressure on that mouth open area, and so having that extra thickness of the yarn helps kind of keep it actually contained inside the body, the mouth contained inside the body, a little bit more easier if you do it all the way around. Not so much specifically for the chenille yarn. So I'm going to show you what I mean for the first few stitches. So what you can do is when you do your last stitch here, okay, when you pull of last stitch of round 13, when you pull up your loop for the single crochet, when you go to pull through, pull both your black and your purple through, okay, like so. What we're going to do is we are going to make sure our purple stays relatively loose, but then with our black, this is where we're going to do our black in our back loops. If I can grab the actual yarn. So basically going to do back loops, single crochets for a round, like so. Okay, so okay, you see that black, and then with our purple one, we're going to finish our round 14, and here we are. As you can see, the black barely shows through. Okay, once your stitching has settled. Going forward, with every row that we are doing in purple, we also need to do a row in black. The black is just going to be a single crochet in every single stitch, which currently is 48, okay, as we build that around, whereas our purple will be changing, or our main body colour will be changing over the next subsequent rounds as we build up the whole of the mouth. So my audio cut out, but for round 23 we're going to chain 4 and then 44 single crochet, and we're going to start them single crochets at the other side of that gap for the mouth, as you can see what I'm doing in the video. With round 23 done, round 24 is going to be the last round that we do our black, okay? And then we're going to continue with our main body colour, our purple, one more round before we join them together. With our round 24, I believe, done, like I said, we are going to stop doing our black single crochets. We no longer need them, so we can cut and tie that one off now. But what we are going to do is, when we are doing our single crochets for the next round, we are going to go through the main body colour, and then we're also going to go through the black. So when we actually single crochet, we're going to go through both layers like so, and that'll attach it all the way around. If you are using your blanket chenille yarn, you are going to have an issue where there will be a hole here, okay? So what you're going to need to do is you'll need to grab a bit of your, say, black or your main body colour in your yarn here, and just tie basically the sides down. And I recommend doing this now. It'll be a lot easier to access the inside than it will be once you have finished and stuffed the piece. We will be, for people that are doing it this way, okay, we will be actually using our white yarn, and because it's attached down here, okay, all the way down here, and we're stuffing in here, it's not going to worry with any stuffing leakage, so you don't need to worry about doing it, tying this down if you're doing it this way. This is the end of round 31. I would recommend stuffing this one and then continuing stuffing as you go, just because this hole is getting quite small to get your fingers in. Yeah, Might want to wait a couple rounds if you're doing it bigger, but it is up to you. I do generally recommend stuffing as you go when you are doing the big one after you've done the mouth. So with this piece mostly stuffed as is, you can see this is the reason why I did the mouth the way it is. It gives it this kind of 3D effect, right, that you can loop in the actual teeth into this section when we get to that part, but it gives it a little bit of depth. When you are using the blanket chenille yarn, the actual depth is a little bit more significant, right? Just because of the thickness of the yarn. And that's one of the reasons why I don't recommend going backwards and forwards in your smaller yarn, because the pressure of the stuffing forces this out and kind of distorts and changes this sort of shape. But again, everyone's preference is different, so I'll let you decide what you want to do for your piece. So with the final round done of your 6 decreases, we're just going to make sure that you've stuffed this, right? This is the stuff to the consistency that you want. And then you're going to loop in all of these and pull it together like a drawstring bag. But there is essentially your body completed. With the legs, we need to make a left and a right leg, and they're basically the reverse of each other. I'm just going to show you the instructions to make the right leg, okay? And then after that, I will put the left leg instructions on the screen. We are going to be starting off with a magic ring of 6, like so, okay? And then we are going to continue increasing, but if you follow along, we'll get started on this one now. When you have done your back loops, you'll have the front loops visible, but don't stress. When you actually have it flat, it becomes relatively flush with the floor, and so it's quite hidden. But there we are, we have round 5 done. With our right leg completed, we need to do our left leg, okay? And it will look ever so slightly similar. There's very subtle differences. You could probably get away with doing the same, like the same stitches, but I generally would recommend doing the one that I'm going to put on screen now for you guys. And to give you a difference, it'll look a little bit like this. So you can see here that when I hold these two up, there's ever so slight of an indent coming in this way, okay, as opposed to the kind of like the middle. With our legs done, we need to move on to doing the arms. This one is using the exact same instructions for both arms. There is no difference. We'll get started with a magic ring. After the 6th round, which is what this one is, I do recommend stuffing it lightly, and I mean lightly. You do not want it to be rounded in shape, you want it to be able to flatten, okay? This may be even less than this much in here, okay? Yep, like I said, half of what I had said is going in there. With specifically your blanket chenille, as you were increasing these, you may need to put a little bit of stuffing in the actual arms, but you definitely do not need to do it for this type of yarn. with the end of round 13, yep, 13, we're going to curve the arm in kind of almost like a right angle. To do this one, we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to do 3 slip stitches, okay? But we're going to do these slip stitches into the back loop, okay? There is a reason for that one, and if you have seen my Cubone video, then you will know what we're about to do. And then once you've done them slip stitches, we'll finish off the round with 2 single crochets. With round 14 done, we're going to do another single crochet, okay? But then we're going to do 2 front loop single crochets, okay? What essentially this means is we're going to grab the front loop of round 13 and the front loop of round 14, okay, on the same loop, doing 13 first and then 14, like so, okay? Then we're going to actually place our single crochet through these 2 stitches, and we're going to do that for each of the rounds we slip stitched, or each of the loops we slip stitched. So we should have 3 of these. So again, it can be a little bit harder with this particular yarn, okay? As you can see, I'm having difficulty. So 1, there we go, 1, 2, that goes over, that goes under, and then last one, 2, okay, and then again we'll finish off the round with 2 single crochets, just normal single crochets, no back or front loop. And when you kind of look at this, it has created this kind of almost right angle, right? That the actual pincer hands have, right? Yes, they can extend out normally, but it just allows for that. With the last round completed, we're going to cut this end here. This time we are going to leave a tail, okay, if you are using your DK or 8-ply yarn, because we're actually going to use that to attach, and it's probably a bit too long, that's okay, but we're going to attach this to the body, okay, just on the side here, like so. We'll need 2 of these, and like I said before, there is no difference between the left and the right, so we're actually going to use the exact same pattern to make the other arm, and it will look just a little bit like this. Okay, so we have our 2 arms that will basically attach onto the body this way. Okay, with the arms done, the last kind of piece we need to make is the horns. With our horns, we are starting with a magic ring of 6 like our other rounds. With round 4, we're going to start off with our 4 single crochets. And then we're going to do our puff stitch. Now these puff stitches will have 4 single crochets in them. You can change the amount of single crochets, which will change the size of your puff stitch, but I quite like 4, so that is what I'm going to do for these ones. Once you've done your 4 single crochets into the same stitch, take your hook out of the loop and pop it into the first single crochet you did for that round. You're then going to grab that loop and pull it tight, and then you're going to come through that single crochet, and you can see it's created this little kind of ball, you're then going to chain and then continue your round, and that is essentially your puff stitch. When you are going back through the puff stitch, so I'll do the next round, so round 5 with you. We're starting with an increase, then we're going to do 3 single crochets and then another increase. So 1. Our increase is going to be actually in our puff stitch. Okay, that chain that you did at the back is where you're going to actually place your stitches. Okay, so depending on how tight that is will depend on how easy it is for you to get through, but just adjust it from there. So there's my increase, and then I'll do my 3 single crochets to finish off my round, and this is essentially the end of round 5 now. I'm going to time lapse the rest of the piece from here, unless there is anything else of note I need to show you guys. In round 12, we have an increase 3 that we need to do. Essentially, an increase 3 is exactly the same as an increase, except for instead of putting 2 single crochets in there, we're going to do 3 single crochets into the same stitch, just like that one. We're then going to finish off the round with 2 single crochets and then a 3 together. And the 3 together is just like all the other ones, where we loop up our 3 loops of the next kind of stitch, yarn over, pull through 3, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and that again is our 3 together. Moving on to round 13 and continuing this time lapse. Hey guys, this is Future Daniel here. I made a little slight adjustment on the last couple of rounds, which are included for the next 2 rounds, don't stress, but there might be a couple of areas in the video where the low horns will look a little bit abnormal, and that's just because I wasn't able to retake that particular part of the video, just with the way this was created. I woke up and didn't like the way they would look, at least for the smaller version. So yeah, I made changes, and this is the second to last round, which I can't recall what the number is, but it'll be down here somewhere. Round 20 done, that is the end, so we can cut the end off, and I recommend leaving a tail for this one as well, just to attach to the head. With all of the actual parts completed, we need to do the detailing for the pieces. Now, I generally recommend doing this before you attach them, especially if you are using your chenille blanket yarn, and that's just because trying to do detailing on a hand that's attached to the actual body can be a little bit cumbersome. But it is up to you. You can do it either after you've attached or before, but I'm just going to do mine before. So that's next. The assembly of Pinsir, we're going to start off making sure that you've tied your side of the mouth down, okay, if you went backwards and forwards up here. That's step one. Step two is actually doing the black detailing on the pieces. We're going to start around about halfway down the mouth, and that's where the first one basically starts. The next one starts just here, okay, and then I have put about 3 or 4 rows below this one, so 1, 2, 3, 4 would be where the next one is, then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 for the bottom kind of section there. I am going to basically get started with that one, and I'll show you what at least I do. So I'll find, because I want the mouth to be about yay big, I'm going to go just like up and through the mouth here, so I know I'm not going to cause any issues with that. And then I basically come down, and then I go up, and I do, I think it's called the back stitch, and I come back like so around the piece. Now if we were to continue around the same kind of plane, okay, you'll notice if I just do this and come around where I am going, when it gets to the other side, you can see that it is not in line with where it should be on this side. So we kind of need to make sure that we bring it down. At some point, we bring it down to the next one down here, okay? And we can do that gradually. I usually like doing it at the back. Once I've got that, and you can see that it's even, what I'm actually going to do is, this is going to come, and so I'm going to work back this way, and just come in from, it could be this one side or the other, doesn't matter. Go, and there you have your black stitch, and you can see it slopes just to the next one at the back there. What we could potentially do specifically for this here is you can have it occur around about here. We're going to be, if you want, or on the other side around about here, you can have that slope to change. That's because we're going to be attaching our arm around about here, okay, and then we're going to be crocheting over it, pretty much like how it is in this one here, right? This one's going into that arm piece, and that's what happens on the actual reference images too. Like I said, we're going to do each of the other ones, so I'll show you what it looks like after I've attached each of the rest of them now. And there we have it completed. Hello, yes. Here we have it completed. So future me is going to put an image somewhere here of what it previously looked like, just so you can see the difference in how it curves down, like this now. Yes, I'm going to put it. Right, very similar to this, and that's all to do with this kind of detailing that you're doing on the way down to help kind of bring it a little bit more, I think conical is the right word, as opposed to it being rounded. The feet, or the legs I should say, these things, okay, also, sorry, let me just move my doggo, also need the detailing on them too. They have just the one, okay, around them to separate them into halves, usually between around 11 and 12. You kind of want to separate it roughly in half for that. And we're basically doing the exact same thing, right? And there we have our feet done. And that's all the black detailing that we need to do at the moment. We're going to do the nail detailing next. With our white on our crochet hook, we're going to find essentially row 4 and 5, which is clearly marked with this little kind of line here where we did our back loops, right? We did the back loops in round 5 into round 4. We're going to basically do 2 toes at the front and 1 toe at the back. and essentially the toes are the same regardless of where they are. We're going to go 3 across, right? Yeah, we're going to go 3 across, 1 up, 1 across, 1 up, 1 across, 1 down, 1 across, 1 down, and that will create like a triangle shape. And it creates this nice triangle shape, okay, that we'll be working the toe in. This can come out. If you are doing it in this yarn, you may want to stuff these before you loop around the end and close like a drawstring bag. Okay, you can see like so. I need to do another one here and another one back here, leaving anywhere from 1 to 2 single crochets between the toes to keep it even. So I'm going to do my next one around about here, and then creating kind of like a Y shape. Okay, I want to do my back one there, so I will fast forward and skip to there, and here we are. So this is essentially what the feet are going to look like, okay? Where possible, like I said, there's that Y with the front 2 in the back. The feet are all done, or the legs are all done now, so we can basically attach them to the side of the body here. The tops of here, I believe, do not extend past this line here, so they basically just go about here on the body, just like that. And there we go. So the legs, when you're attaching them, if you can try and position them so when you stand him up, okay, you can actually have him staying up. God, I did this before and now it's not. Oh, he is. There we go. I'm just being silly. So he can actually stand up by himself, right? And then check it at after every single attachment point. Check to make sure that you haven't overbalanced and you need to change something, right? We're going to do the hands next, okay? With your yarn attached, I generally, because I'm right-handed, like doing things kind of in this way, okay? So I'm going to start with this side first. For each of the side ones, essentially you're going to go 2 single crochets this way, 1 single crochet this way, 2 this way, and 1 back to the start. And then you are going to do a decrease in single crochet for a round, and then loop them together like we did for the ends of here and pull it down. For the tip, you can also do the same way. You go 2 across, 1 up, 2 that way. You can also, I think I did a 6 in a circle going around the actual magic ring instead. And there is our spike. Okay, we're going to hide these strands. When you're attaching your next one, you do want to make sure there is a gap between your spikes and you're not doing them right next to one another. Very similar to how you left a gap for your feet too. And this is what it will look like once you've got it finished. And with both of them done, we can now attach these to the body. The arms go basically at the side right here, okay? We want it above this line here that we're actually attaching it. So we're going to be attaching it approximately here. With our hands or arms attached now, okay, we are going to do the detailing of the arms. Now this one essentially is made in kind of 2 stages. The first one is doing close to the arm. And we're basically doing the 6 crochets around the actual arm. There we are. And once we've basically gone around the arm, we're going to do that again, okay? Okay. With that done, we're then going to reattach to the body, but we're going to attach basically one single crochet away. So for this one here, my one single crochet is this round here, so I'm going to attach, so this round here, so I'm going to attach here. I'm basically going to do 3 along the bottom, diagonal 2, 3 along the side, diagonal 2 along the top, diagonal 2 along the bottom, and diagonal 2 to get back here. And we're going to do that all the way around. And you can see, right, that when you do it, it creates this nice circle around the actual pincer. And so this is now what we're going to build off of. And we're just going to follow the on-screen instructions right here, and it's going to appear a little bit something like this. Now, this is where our single crochets initially come into play. Because this is kind of up the arm, we actually want to push this down and get it so it's actually sitting on top of them single crochets that we did before. So we're going to do the same to the other side now, like this. Okay, almost done. We just need to attach the last part and then do the facial detailing. Horns get attached to the head, basically just above the arms like so. Here we are, the pincers are attached. So now we have to do the eyes and the mouth. We'll do the mouth next, okay, and then finish off with the eyes. So to do the mouth, we're going to come up through the black where we want to pull our mouth to. So I kind of want to pull it in a little bit, okay? So we're going to come up through that stitch and then through the purple. And then I generally will go in to around the middle-ish. Just here, and then we're gonna go back through there and do it a second time to build up that tooth. And then we're basically gonna work our way down. When you're happy with your teeth, make sure you tie it off and hide your yarn. And then all you have to do is do your eyes. Now I have gotten into needle felting, okay, since the last video. And so now I will needle felt my eyes onto the piece. I like the way, the smoothness that it kind of gives the eyes. Than gluing. But if you want to glue your eyes on, you're more than welcome to. You'll just need your white and black yarn to do it. Otherwise you can do your white yarn and then use like your black thread to help you do the eyes. So we'll attach the eyes now. And we have our updated pincer all completed. This guy can stand up, right, by himself, like so. You just, again, need to make sure you position the legs correctly. But that's basically it, you guys. So, hope you enjoyed the adventure of making pincer, in whichever way you guys did it. So, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe, and if you've got any comments, drop them down below. Other than that, have an awesome day, and I'll see you next adventure.